that I really, really, really should cover this topic because it's important. It's about sales. Because without sales, we only have a hobby. And if we build an amazing, huge audience, but you don't get any sales, well, that's just noise, right? We don't need visibility. We need to really connect with the people, and we need to convert those people. So if this is the first time that you're seeing me or hearing me, my name is Josephine Warner, and I'm a former corporate executive turned entrepreneur and business growth strategist. And I help my clients in particular on LinkedIn to grow their audiences on LinkedIn and also to build scalable offers. And to be able to do that, to move the people from LinkedIn or whichever platform that you prefer to be, we need to have a product that we bring them to. So today I'm going to cover 5 different types of sales. And I'm not saying that you're going to use one of them, like only use this one and then you only use that one. You need to probably implement all of them. And you probably already do have most of them implemented. But I'm going to cover all 5 of them. I use them myself. It's also what I teach or help my clients to implement. So I know they work, right? And that's with everything that I do. I don't teach anything that I don't know works. So that's that's a little bit quick about me. So see, we have someone who's watching this. So if you're watching this, add your questions in the comment section. They will pop up on my screen. So I will be able to see them. I will be able to respond to them in real time. If you're watching the replay of this, because this video will stay up, then you can still add your questions, because then I have the opportunity to catch up on those questions later, right? So let's start with the very first one. Number 1 is selling on calls. So this one isn't a surprise to you. Most coaches and service providers actually start by selling on calls, and I would say we still use that piece, but depending on if you have already implemented a scalable product, you will sell less on calls, because the calls they take a lot of your time, and depending on how good you are at closing in those calls, it can be very frustrated, especially in the beginning, to have loads and loads of calls and very little sales at the end. So that is why it's so important when you invite people to have a sales discussion on the call, make it evident from the beginning that this is a sales call and that you qualify them beforehand, saying that you are, what do I mean by qualify? I mean that you can ask them questions. I know that some people, and I have used this in the past too, that you can have like an application form. You can set up a simple Google Doc where you create a little bit like a survey, and it's more like an application form. Or you can do like I do today. I have a Calendly link, and then I have qualifying questions in there, so that you get a little bit answers and get a little bit of a feeling of who that person is. And that person also knows that they will have to invest if they really want to work with you. Because what often happens when we invite people to the calls is that sometimes they think it's a pick your brain call, right? So they go into that call and they ask you all of the different questions, and you respond to all the questions. And then at the end, they say, oh, thank you so much, and I will now try to implement this on my own, right? So make sure you qualify them in the call and before the call, and then you have the call. And what then? I have my notes here, so I need to, so that I don't miss anything. So when we talk about calls, inviting people to calls, this has to be a high ticket offer. This is not a low ticket that you sell on calls, right? It has to, otherwise it wouldn't be profitable, right? So you have to have a high ticket offer that you sell on the call. Hi, Hasibal, so happy to have you here. And then what you can do then afterwards, you follow up in, for example, a direct message, or you follow up via an email, depending on how you have connected with this person in the first place. The advantage of having a call when you sell your offer is that you have the opportunity to address their objections or the challenges, to really understand where they are coming from and what it is that's holding them back. And you also get a different feeling of who that person is on the other side, so that you can feel, do I really want to work with this person? Or do I think that this person is better off with someone else, right? You also have the opportunity to say no, thank you during a call, right? So the first one is selling on a call. And then we go into number 2, which is actually my preferred sales strategy, and that is selling in a live launch. And what do I mean by live launch? It can be a free masterclass, it can be a webinar, it can be a challenge, it can be a boot camp, whatever you name it. But when you do it live, it's called a live launch. Usually they are anything from 45 minutes up to 10 days, right? So that is when you get to really connect with the audience and to really learn, or you get to build know, like, and trust as part of the live launch. And what I really like with the live launch is that it kind of like almost like sorts out your people and sorts out those people that are not for you. You get to attract the right people and you get to repel the wrong ones. So when you invite people to a live launch or one of your launches, which is, by the way, one of the best ways to build an audience, to pull them from your social media, from LinkedIn or wherever, and then you pull them into your email list and you nurture them during your live launch, and then you get to sell to them, and some of them will convert and some of them will say, not quite yet ready yet. So you continue to nurture them even after the launch, right? And what I also like there is that you get to share a piece of you, like who you are, which can be very hard to understand if you only see someone on social media. For example, you might just see a post or a picture, or you might see someone on a video like you see me now, but it can be hard to understand how they teach and what it is that they're doing. And here we have Lisa, who, by the way, is also a business strategist that I am, and she agrees that masterclass or workshops are my favorite too. Immediately warms up your audience. Absolutely. And you get to have fun. You get to have fun too. And it's like high energy, and you get to build your list at the same time. And then what you need to remember, though, during your masterclasses, the intention during, I call them masterclasses, that's how I call them. But as I mentioned, if you call them a challenge or a webinar, it's the same thing. You take them through a process, right? Warming them up, you take them through a process, you help them to how do you say it, come to aha moments that they didn't have before. And they realize that, oh my God, if I want to continue working on this, if I really want to get results, depending on what it is that you're offering, then they can continue working with you. So you convert the people during your masterclass and often a few days afterwards. That's the open cart period, which then takes me into actually, no, it's a different one. That's number 4 that I'm going to cover in a second. Oh, by the way, we have a live workshop coming up. Angela Sandas, my business partner, is running her Launch Revolution workshop. It's a free 3-day workshop that she will be hosting. So I will make sure that I add the link underneath here so that you can join us there if you want to. It's where she shows the exact strategy and the exact process that we are using ourselves. This is a 3-day workshop, and it's for free, right? So you can join us there, and I would love to see you there. So number 3 then. Number 3 of the 5 different sales types is to sell through video. It's a little bit the same strategy that if you would do a live launch, with obviously the difference that this is a video. So you don't have the possibility to really react to or follow up on the objections or the challenges that your audience might have, like you have in a masterclass or that you have in a webinar, for example. This is an email sequence that you have recorded, and you can use one of your previous live launches as a video. So you sell that more on evergreen, right? You can continue using that video to really convert the people. And then here when we talk about selling on video, what you usually do there is you also do it like in a different series, like 1, 2, 3 videos, and you get to build up anticipation. And exactly like you do with the live launch, you're teaching, you're sharing value. The old way of doing these types of things, where there was a lot of fluff and people were like speaking more about themselves and a little bit about the strategy or what they were doing, that is no longer working, right? People are educated, so you really need to deliver value independently if it's a live launch or if it's a video series, right? Because this is how you get to show a little piece of what it is that you're doing. Of course, you can't share your whole strategy or your whole framework in one live launch or in one video. It takes more than that, right? But you get to show a tiny piece of what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it so that you can attract the right people to your world. So let me quickly recap them. So number 1 was selling in calls. Number 2 is live launching. Number 3 is selling as per video. And then we move into the number 4, selling through emails. So when you're doing a live launch or when you're doing a video series, you usually, or in 100% of the cases, you need to have email sequences too, so that you don't lose the people that have registered for your live launch or that have registered for your video series. But you can also sell through emails separately from your launches, like in between the launches, depending on what it is that you offer. In the email, you can also invite people back to the call, right? So as you can see now that these things are connected, right? Selling on a call, selling in a live launch, selling in a video series, or selling per email. When you connect all of these dots, you have a pretty solid sales strategy. Don't try to implement them all at once. But if you start with, for example, a live launch, then you can continue with the emails and you continue to build your email list based off of that. I just pulled earlier today, I pulled a statistics of my own, how my own email list has grown. And since I started to teach a masterclass that has had huge interest, my email list has grown significantly from, I would say, 200-300 people only end of 2023 to now 2,500 people. So in less than, or in 1.5 years more or less, 2,500 people are on my email list, and that is because I run launches, and I also have other freebies too. So we have Gideon adding a comment here. Yes, he says, before getting on a call, ensure the offer is strong. A call gives you the opportunity to assess who you'll be working with, learn more about them, and decide if you can trust them with your project. Great perspective. Exactly. That's exactly what you need to do. And also to, as I mentioned, pre-qualify them first. Then, so the emails, if we go a little bit into that. So when you get people into your email list, you need to nurture them a little bit. What we see now, though, is that the nurture piece has actually gone down. If you look at the bigger creators like Marie Forleo or Amy Porterfield, they are actually selling in each and every email. And you can do that too, depending on what it is that you're selling, right? So don't be afraid of selling in your emails. Don't be afraid of selling in your live sessions or in your calls, because people are there to actually learn from you. And you know that the way to help them to get to their results faster, they need to work with you, right? So don't be afraid of inviting people to work with you. And that is a key. That is important, right? You're not pitching. You're not kind of enforcing someone. You're not holding the gun to someone's head to force them to work with you. You are inviting them to come and work with you so that you can help them solve their problems. And that actually takes me to one which I think is a little bit used in the wrong way, in particularly on LinkedIn, and that is selling in the direct messages. And I know that there are people who teach and they say, oh, I never jump on any calls. I only sell high ticket in the direct messages, which I think has, I don't know, inspired many people to think that, oh, I can cold pitch immediately in the direct messages. That's not how it works, right? Or at least that's not how I do it, and that's how I doubt that it works. It probably works, by the way, because otherwise why would they do it, right? But I think the success rate to work with the people that you really want to work with is higher when you do it in a more authentic and a more trustworthy way. Because if you connect with someone And then you immediately cold pitch them your offer. You don't even know if they have the problem that you would love to help them solve. You don't even know if they are aware, even if they have the problem, they might not even be aware of having the problem. So the way that I use the direct messages is more in terms of as a, how to say it, like a complement to my live launches, a complement to my emails, a complement to the freebies that I'm sharing, to connect with the people and then to follow up with them. Because when someone signs up for one of your masterclasses or workshops or webinars or whatever it might be, they have taken a step. They have raised their hand and said, hey, Peter, hey, Anna, I would love to work with you. And then you get to ask them, okay, so where are you on your journey? Are you ready to invest now? Can you send in a sell in a direct message? Can you close the sales in a direct message? 100%. I've done that too, but not in a pitchy way, right? I'm not asking, oh, hey, I've seen your LinkedIn profile. It looks really bad. Do you need help with it? That's not the way to do it, right? So don't use the direct messages in an authentic way to build connection, to build relationship with the people, and use them as a complement to these other sales strategies that I just covered. And the sales strategies are a call. We talked about a live launch. We spoke about a video series. We spoke about emails, setting up an email, your newsletter, your email, and then to add direct messages to that, right? So I also promised to how do we use these, or how do we make these strategies a little bit more effective? And it's all about building the know, like, and trust. And building know, like, and trust can take longer and it can take shorter. Some people who have become my clients, who are my clients, have taken up to, I think the longest was even 3 years, right? And the shortest has been like within a day, right? So on average, I have 11 weeks from the time that someone comes on my email list, because that is when I track it, to when they become a client. Meaning that time frame, if I don't do anything today, that means that in 11 weeks, I won't have any sales, right? So that is how you need to think about it. To nurture that audience long term, because some people will need a little bit longer before they actually become your clients. And I also think that in terms of, there is so much noise out there, and there are so many people who teach the same things. I mean, how many LinkedIn coaches don't you have out there? How many business strategists don't you have out there? I attract the people who want to work with me, and that's good. And you will attract the people that really want to work with you too. When you nurture people thinking long-term rather than short-term wins. And how do we do that then? Well, consistency. Consistency wins the game. Of course, you can take breaks. I know that many people have taken breaks now over the summer, and when they come back, everything is the same, right? Except that maybe 11 weeks down the line, they might not have as many leads as if they would have wanted to. But you can obviously take breaks, and that is why we're building an email list. You're building so that you can nurture your people a little bit more automatically. You're building a sales system so that people get to see you, hear you, experience you. They get to learn from you. So that is the strategy that you need to implement. Another big thing is sharing case studies, sharing client testimonials. And I know I do this a little bit too, or way too little. I sometimes share about my clients, but I should definitely do this more. Now that I think about it, maybe I could invite some of them to be on calls with me. That is always important, because what you do when you share client testimonials, it's not about you bragging or you being in the spotlight. It's actually showing to your clients or to your prospects that this person has been where you are, and if they have managed to do this, then you can do it too. So that is why you're sharing case studies. That is why you're sharing stories about, this is where I was, this is where I want to be. And the more of that you do share, people will be able to see themselves to actually succeed as part of your being in your a part of your client. And as I mentioned, use the direct messages as a conversation booster, as a building trust, right? So as I mentioned, I run masterclasses. So the people come to my masterclasses, they also then get nurtured by the emails. And then sometimes if I find the person, we connect on LinkedIn, or if they have found me already, we connect on LinkedIn and we start the conversation that way, right? So use these things in combination to each other and think rather long-term than short-term. But I really think that adding some sort of live launch or some sort of video, or maybe go live like I'm doing here, that is really good to really create that know, like, and trust fast so that people get to see you and hear you. So that was actually what I have for today. So if you're watching the replay of this, make sure you add the questions underneath so that I can follow up on them. And as I mentioned, we will be running a 3-day workshop on the 11th of August, I think it is, starting 11th of August, so that you can join us and you can see the strategy that we are using, the strategy that we are teaching to create a successful live launch. And I'm going to add the link underneath this video so that you can join us there. Yeah, that was actually it for today. Thank you so much. And by the way, next week will be a break. And then the week after that, I'm going to cover how to build a scalable online offer. So thank you so much for today. Thank you all who have been here with me today. And I look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye. Bye-bye.